the hiring a good sales manager, hiring good salespeople, they're one of the most challenging things a company can ever do.
Welcome to the Sales Transformation Podcast, live out of Miami, Fort Lauderdale, with your host, Victor AROCHO. If you haven't yet, please follow me on Twitter at varocho.com or varocho. Also on YouTube, you can go to Victor AROCHO, or you can head over to victorarocho.com. That's VICTORAROCHO.com. You cannot interview salespeople just like you would interview anyone else in your company, like an office manager. Remember, they're salespeople. If they're out on interviews, they're going to sell you on the position.
You might be able to hire one good salesperson, and you might luck out on that. But if you have a good process that tells you or walks through the process of hiring a good salesperson, then you could hire potentially 10 great salespeople. You know, and that whole process around hiring and getting it right for a salesperson, I mean, obviously the big challenge in almost any company is hiring great salespeople. And that process is it's complex, obviously. And, you know, but if you build it and you put it in your company, you can then scale that and hire 10 great salespeople. Okay, the hiring a good sales manager, hiring good salespeople, they're one of the most challenging things a company can ever do. And I've gone through probably 10 or 15 sales managers in my life. You know, one thing I will say about, you know, hiring, no, that I don't think that's very good. But you know, one thing I will say
with all your companies, I'm just thinking that's not a lot. I think you're saying thousands.
Well, I think even at Hostopia, I think we went to 5 sales managers, and there was a point when we didn't have a sales manager, and essentially I was, even though I had my position, it's the most important. At a certain point in an organization, you need sales. If you have a platform, you know, every time you sell $1 million worth of product, you get 800,000 dropping to the bottom line. So, you know, for me, I ended up taking over sales management at one point. And one of the techniques we used was to really get to know who the salespeople are in the industry and track them. So we literally had a hit list of all the companies that sold our products and services in the industry and who their best salespeople were. And if we could poach them carefully, you know, we don't want to tick them off. We also got to watch for non-competes, you know, and in some cases non-solicitations. But if we didn't have a non-solicitation in place for that particular company, then we would meet with them at trade shows. We would meet them wherever we could meet them. We would call them, we'd talk, we'd send emails, just even LinkedIn, just connecting even at a basic level and identifying those people who you think are very good at the industry, who are top performers, who you've competed on deals with. You know, that's the kind of people that we hired, we brought over. I would say at Hostopia, we called ourselves the Goldman Sachs of the industry. We really did hire the best people. We really did pay the highest salaries in the industry. Now we did this at, you know, after, you know, we're in the market for 5-6 years. Okay. This wasn't at the beginning, you know, we're schlepping it out at the beginning, but you know, once we had the money and funding, we really did target those people in the industry.
Yeah. And, you know, I'll give you a tidbit. I appreciate you asking me about the pipeline. You also want to look at the people that sell to the same decision makers in the industry, not necessarily the same products and services, right? Because if you're in a trade show, everyone's in the same industry. It doesn't mean that they have to just be in my experience, doesn't mean they have to just be your competitor. They could be someone who's selling to the same decision makers, the same type of companies, whether they're corporations, whether they're large telecom. They already have that experience, and they're not fearful of talking to someone at the level you need them to talk to.
That is correct. So the key there is, you just said it, they're selling to the same companies. They have the contacts already. So one of the keys to our success at Hostopia, and one of the reasons why it worked out so well by hiring a number of salespeople from our competitors, is they already had the relationships. So that accelerates your process dramatically.
Exactly. Yeah. And you know, you one thing that, man, we could agree that this has been great. I thought you said you're going to do a good podcast. There's so many things I could take this off, and we'd be on here for hours. It'd be the Joe Rogan show. Yeah, the key component there is, one, the comfort zone of who they're selling to. Two, entrepreneurs or anyone that brings on sales management has to take into account that they do have some skills to be at that level, but you have to develop them, right? I don't care whether, what industry you're in, you're always sharpening the saw, and they're not taught that. I mean, I was a lab lecturer at an MBA class here at Nova Southeastern University, and I could see what they're teaching. And they're one of the few that had a sales management course, right? There's out of 4,000 colleges, I think there's only 100 colleges and universities that actually have a sales curriculum. There's less than 20 that actually have a degree in professional selling.
And you just triggered another thought. You just said it again. You just triggered another thought. And for us, it was all about developing every salesperson. But in fact, we spent 80% of our time on our top 20% of our salespeople. Mm-hmm. And the other ones just had, they had to work their way up to get into that club. Let me just say that, because most companies make the mistake of trying to take bad salespeople and make them better. No. We put our resources in our top salespeople.
Well, I always like to say, like on a professional sports team, who's getting more of the practice snaps or shots, the second team or the first team? Exactly. Right? So you got to focus on your first team. You still want to develop your second team, but the first team has to learn, especially in football, if you're a quarterback, right? You're not going to share the snaps. The guy's going to take the most snaps as your first team, right? You're going to teach them and develop them. And the same thing in professional sports. I mean, these athletes have coaches outside of their coaches, especially the great ones. Right. So like when you went through 15 sales managers, they sold you, right? I mean, that's the end of the day, right? So you can't, even we teach how to write ads. I mean, if you go and look at the ads, they all look identical. Don't sell your company until you find the right person. And when you go through the exercises of taking through a good process of hiring, then you sell them. But if they don't get through the processes, they have to come in and audition for the position.
Also, do you engage in profiling when it comes to hiring salespeople?
Yes.
Yeah, because we found that was one of the most effective things. And what's interesting, if you look at a profile of a great salesperson, for the vast majority, in my opinion, it's having a dominant instinct and having an influential instinct, very social behavior. There are sometimes you'll get situations where they have social behavior and they might be analytical and not quite as dominant. In that scenario, that's where the sales manager needs to fill the gap to close the deal, or the leader or the entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. So there are different profiles you can use, in different scenarios, but I think profiling is a key component to your systems when hiring great salespeople.
Yeah, I know that. And what we like to do is they should be done up front, put them in an automated fashion. So when a person applies, you're profiling them up front. Let them weed out the beginning.
I agree.
Don't wait till later. Weed them out early in the beginning, and then you got to know this. I can go on and on. I mean, it's a whole workshop that we do on how to read a resume, what to ask on the resume, But again, everyone's got to remember that they're salespeople. They're going to sell you, right? And what we call those people are imposters, right? Who are going to eventually become ghosts, meaning they were an imposter. They came in, now they're gone. They're a ghost. Right. So, and look,
exactly.
You're not going to be perfect all the time, but you're going to be your percentage of success in how we do it. But your percentage of success, if you really work on your hiring process, is going to be a lot better than it was before. And every improvement makes a big difference in the revenue of a company.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, Colin, this has been great having you as a guest today and on our podcast. Sales Transformation Podcast. And Colin, if people wanted to get in touch with you or reach out to you, how can they find you?
Yeah, I'm on Twitter at Colin.club, Colin, DOTCLUB. Otherwise, just, on LinkedIn, just type in Colin Campbell, entrepreneur, and you'll just send me a LinkedIn.
All righty. So please leave any comments down below that we talked about, because we went through a lot of different components today, but they were all fantastic. Obviously, we know that Colin has the experience. If you enjoyed today's show, head over to VictorArocho.com and please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Just type in Victor Arocho, AROCHO. For more interviews with top entrepreneurs like Colin. Colin, we'd definitely like to have you back on the show. Remember to check out the rest of our videos in this series. Thank you for listening to the Sales Transformation Podcast. And remember, every Friday, we release a new episode of the Sales Transformation Podcast. And that one's with my co-host and a fellow serial entrepreneur, Stephen Running. Well, Colin, thank you again. Everybody have a great selling week. And remember, transformation trumps motivation.